I'm back at home where I belong, and Nintendo is back on top where they belong. Plus, some big exciting Switch games just got confirmed, and that feels awesome for this Friday. But another new Switch release? Oof, it's not faring nearly as well. Good morning, Mario, and good morning, Switch fans. It feels good to be back in the chair, ready to go, rocking and rolling with a new mug. Look at this, King Koopa himself powering this productive Friday. I hope you guys are all doing well and getting ready for your well-deserved weekend. All right, we're talking all about new Switch games coming to the system in 22. It feels so fine to get third-party titles. Yes, thank you for acknowledging we are important here on the Nintendo side of things. A new release, as I mentioned, isn't doing so hot, so we'll touch on that. Plus, a theme park is coming to the States soon, and Nintendo is back on top. Plus, one of Metroid Dread's senior gameplay programmers, he decided to leave, and I wonder what that means for the future. So what's going on, everybody? It's Zach from SwitchForce. Hit that like button if you enjoy the show, and let me know your take on today's topics in the comments down below. While I was away at a Disney theme park over in California, Nintendo decided to confirm that they're opening a Super Mario theme park in California. Now, we knew this was coming to Universal Studios Hollywood, but now we know that it's opening in 2023. And I really hope that's a spring or summer launch, which is typically when they like to open these things up, not like in the midst of a holiday rush or something, and I'm super hyped. I've been wanting to go to Japan to check out the Mario Kart ride and the Yoshi ride and the living, breathing world that Miyamoto helped make himself. But of course, with the pandemic and all sorts of travel issues, I haven't really gone anywhere. This one I can drive to, and I wanna know, how many of you want to come with me? 2023, we're gonna do a meetup, a GMM meetup party at Super Nintendo World. This is stellar, and I hope we get to ride that Donkey Kong roller coaster that's been rumored very soon as well. It's just a dream come true. For a kid like me that loves Disney, theme parks, rides, and Mr. Mario, couldn't get any better. Let's talk numbers for a quick minute, because Switch is back on top. After ceding the #1 spot last month in a rare blip for the big N, they are back on top in today's February NPDs, showing that the Switch sold the most in terms of units and in terms of dollars. All right, the Xbox Series consoles came in second and PlayStation 5 was in third. I mean, this makes a lot of sense because Nintendo did have a very strong start to the year, but I will also point out that it does seem that whoever can get the most systems to store shelves ends up taking the top spot right now, as the shortages for chips and whatnot is really a factor. All the systems seem to be doing well in their own right. There's a bunch of big games, but hey, it does feel good to have Nintendo on top. They got a bunch of games up there as well, but just know they're back where they're supposed to be. Now, Metroid, could it get any better? Because Metroid Dread was basically like the perfect amalgamation of all Metroid. It was just like the best 2D has been, probably my favorite controlling 2D game of all time. Just buttery smooth. My hands, they just caked in that cow juice, all right? Now, what does Mercury Steam do next? We know they're working on a third-person dark fantasy RPG. Doesn't really sound like that is going to be Metroid, but maybe they'd like to make another one after this game's success. Well, they'd be doing it without Carlos Pizarro, who has a freaking awesome name and has now freaking left Mercury Steam. All right, he's a senior gameplay and player programmer, and he has bid adieu to go work on Call of Duty Warzone Mobile. Now, I'm sure with how well Metroid controls, his talents are going to be much appreciated over there at Activision, but it sort of sucks to see him go. Well, time for an update. This was one of the most difficult decisions I've had to take, but I've recently quit my job at Mercury Steam. I've been very fortunate to share these years with an amazing group of incredibly talented humans who have gifted me the chance to grow myself and develop games I'm really proud of. He goes on to talk about how wonderful and rewarding it was to work on an IP that he appreciated so much in the form of Metroid, and how legendary it was to help continue that franchise and the lore in the world and just the luster of Samus Aran on Nintendo Switch. But now he will say goodbye. I wonder what Nintendo will do next with Mercury Steam. They made two very well-received Metroid games, Samus Returns on 3DS and then Dread on Switch. Do they get pegged again for the next project, or does Nintendo opt to use them for something else? Personally, knowing we got Metroid Prime 4 on the horizon sometime, and we also probably have that Metroid Prime 1 remake, I'd love to see Mercury Steam tackle something different with Nintendo. Maybe even an entirely new IP. I feel like they've climbed the ladder rung to be like really up there. Maybe not Nintendo's like EPD studios, but they made a phenomenal game, and now let them flourish yet again. but they're gonna have to replace Carlos and his awesome name, Pizarro, because that's kind of a bummer. Let me know in the comments down below what franchise or game you think Mercury Steam should work on next. It would be cool to see them kind of tackle a new franchise, like give a new 2D twist to maybe 2D Mario. I feel like with their control scheme, they could make something really fun. Fun is the name of this next story, all right? People are freaking out because the Cowabunga Collection was surprise announced at the latest Sony State of Play. This is a TMNT Collection, not Shredder's Revenge, which still is waiting for its revenge. This game actually got revenge on Shredder's Revenge by saying, hey, we're bringing 13 classic TMNT games to PlayStation 4 and 5. And over here on Nintendo's side, we were like, still waiting. And then boom, they're like, yes. Konami is bringing the Cowabunga Collection, all 13 games, some with local multiplayer, some with online multiplayer, leaderboards, all sorts of that sort of stuff, rewind features, basically like a virtual console for TMNT. We've got everything from Turtles in Time, the arcade game, Tournament Fighters, Hyperstone Heist, Radical Rescue. We're talking about games from the SNES, games from the Game Boy. It's just the best of the Turtles. Now, they don't seem to be redone really in any way, but they are adding, as I mentioned, those kind of extra features like save, rewind, online play, which is pretty darn nifty. There's no set month for release, but they do say 2022, and people are pretty pumped that this game is gonna cost $40. Now, from my perspective, $40 still feels like a lot, considering these are all really old games that are returning with just some side features and not like new graphics or anything of that sort. But hey, I know people are primed to pay for the Turtles, very popular franchise, and one honestly that I love and I will get. But I would have felt a lot better if this was like $30. I guess, hey, you can get a cartridge for 40 and it's not 60, so that is a win. I wanna know what you all think. Are you excited for this, or are you more ready for the new one? Because again, honestly, I would rather play the new Turtles and see how they evolved this fun franchise that I poured many Chuck E. Cheese tokens in when I was 6 and 7 years old. I battled it out in Tournament Fighters with my uncle. We had a great time, and I love these games, but what is up with Shredder's Revenge, and when will that release, and who will come to market first? Because I feel like at this point, without a date for Shredder's Revenge, I'm wondering if we Cowabunga before we move to the future. What do you guys think, and which one are you more excited for? 13 whole games, but they're old. Or Shredder's Revenge, one, but it's new. So the enthusiasm has been insanely high for the Turtles, not as high for the Chocobos. All right, I was out of town, so I haven't had a chance to play it for myself, but people are pretty pissed off about Chocobo GP. Now, Chocobo GP does have a free light version, so you can get in and test out how it feels, but it seems like people's issue is not with how it feels, rather everything else around it. All right, Square Enix put in a very aggressive progression system that seems to require a ton of time to play and many different currencies to unlock, even when you pay for the full version of the game. And we're not even talking about their season pass that you can buy separately, but there's plenty of other ways that you can buy currency and spend to sort of accelerate your progress through the game to unlock the character roster and the limited course selection. Remember, we talked about how there's basically like 8 courses and then they like remix them to make 21 tracks, but it's really based on 8 courses. So the whole game just feels lacking in content, and then to lock it behind so much aggressive grinding and progression feels like a shame. And so Square Enix, hey, kudos to them. Early this morning, like the day after the game came out, they said, hey, we've updated things. We're giving people free currency so they can go buy more, and we're making sure that the prize level settings for the Chocobo GP mode are more forgiving, so it's easier for you to progress and move forward. And hey, I hope that does help even things out here. I was really looking forward to this one. I'll have to check it out and report back, but as of right now, yeah, not the best buzz around the feathers of Chocobo GP, as players seem to be pretty darn ticked off. We got another big Switch game reveal, and yet again, it comes from the State of Play. Because over there, Square Enix revealed the Dialfield Chronicle. One of the weirdest, most obscure, most head-scratching names I've seen in quite some time, but this basically looks like Fire Emblem on PlayStation, and then they said, also coming to Switch. So now we got competition for Fire Emblem with Dialfield Chronicle, and it's published by Square Enix, who recently helped put out Triangle Strategy, which was also a tactical game. Although Triangle Strategy was much more like, hey, let's pay homage to back in the yesteryear, Dialfield looks like it's trying to take things forward. It gives me like a strange vibe of Fire Emblem meets Final Fantasy Tactics meets Valkyria Chronicles, if anyone's played that latter game. I'm not sure why they didn't opt to go for the Final Fantasy Tactics name. I think that would have made this announcement 10 times more exciting, but I will say that when I saw it was coming to Switch, my interest went way up. As a PlayStation 5 announcement, it's like, okay, it's a strategy game, where's the big kahuna? That state of play felt very boring and did not live up anywhere near to Nintendo's latest Direct. But now knowing it's coming to Switch and can compete with Triangle Strategy and Fire Emblem and maybe push that genre forward, I'm intrigued. The graphics are not anything to write home about, but on Switch, I think they can look pretty good, and this is a game that the Switch probably can run since it isn't doing anything crazy on the visual side of things. But I want to know, if a game doesn't have the main franchise name, are you as interested? All right, so like if this was called Fire Emblem, I think people would be freaking the heck out. As I mentioned, if it was called Final Fantasy Tactics, I think people, again, would be freaking the heck out. But Dialfield Chronicle, 1, is just an abysmal name, and 2, what is it? Nobody knows. I always have this strange thought, like if you took the exact same game, Uncharted for example, and didn't call it Uncharted, would it be received in the exact same way? If you took Zelda and decided to get rid of Link and just put generic brown-haired boy, would it be as tantalizing? Something for you to think about this weekend, but let me know if you're intrigued by Dialfield Chronicle and if you think the name sucks like I do too. Now, before we officially confirm your weekend, we got one more poll, all right? Make sure to participate in these every weekday evening in the community tab. That's where you'll find them. That's where you can be heard on this show. Have you messed with the new Nintendo Switch Online icons? You know, they got the Mario Odyssey, the ACNH. It's for the Milestones and Rewards program that they incorporated 2 weeks ago. I thought it would be a lot smaller percentage, but I am piqued to see that 42%, myself included, said yeah, they're cool. 58% said no, don't care, and that's fine, but I thought that would be about 80%. And this just confirms to me that if Nintendo ever introduces themes, they will not only make us all super happy, but they have the potential to sell a lot and make a bunch of money, because we all would probably pay $3 for a new theme for a Switch after staring at light and dark mode for nearly 6 straight years. Anyways, don't stare at this screen any longer. Get out there and enjoy your weekend. I'll see you guys all soon. Thank you so much for being here. Thanks for supporting. I love hanging out with you and talking Nintendo every freaking day of the week. Until next time, everybody, stay safe, stay healthy, stay happy, stay positive out there. Love you lots. SwitchForce, out.